It's not every day that you get a matchup like this, Bills versus Saints. Two teams that haven't seen much of each other in recent years. And when they do meet, it always seems to be in these strange, memorable moments. Last time around, it was a Thanksgiving clash in New Orleans. This time, we're heading to Orchard Park, and the weather may not be the only thing that's cold. The Saints are coming off a brutal reality check in Seattle. Meanwhile, the Bills are quietly stacking wins, doing exactly what a team with Super Bowl expectations is supposed to do. But let's talk about those Saints for a second, because whatever optimism fans had after the first 2 weeks, narrow losses at home to Arizona and San Francisco, it got hit with a bucket of ice water in Seattle. That game was a disaster, a perfect storm of everything that could go wrong, and somehow it all did. Punt return touchdown, blocked punt, missed field goal, an interception called back. And by halftime, they were staring at a 32-point deficit, the biggest halftime hole they've faced since 2005. That's not just a bad game. That's historic failure. And that's why this week is more than just another game on the schedule. It's a character check for New Orleans. No one expects them to walk into Buffalo and beat a team that was one possession away from the Super Bowl last year. But can they be competitive? Can they bounce back? That's what we're watching for. Because if they can stand toe-to-toe for 4 quarters, especially in that stadium, against that quarterback, against that crowd, that says something. That tells you this rebuild under first-year head coach Kellen Moore might actually be heading in the right direction. Look, their first 2 games weren't pretty, but they showed fight. They weren't giving up quick scores. They weren't hurting themselves with bad special teams plays. They weren't losing the hidden yardage battle. All of that came crashing down in Seattle. 7 straight scoring drives by the Seahawks, most of them short, efficient, 5 or 6 play punches right to the gut. That wasn't just about getting outplayed. That was about New Orleans self-destructing, offense, defense, special teams, all at once. Now, if you're the Saints, you can't let one game define your season. But you also can't pretend it didn't happen. So what do? You go back to the basics. You stop beating yourself. You clean up the penalties, especially on third downs. You fix the busted coverages. You stop allowing explosive plays off short fields. And more than anything, you protect your young quarterback. Because if Spencer Rattler has to carry this thing on his own, especially against a pass rush like Buffalo's, this could get ugly in a hurry. Speaking of that pass rush, let's flip the script and talk about the Bills. Because the one area that continues to haunt this team, and it's not a new problem, is third down defense. It was a weakness last season when they were one of the best teams in football. It's still a weakness now. In fact, it's nearly identical. They were ranked 29th in third down defense a year ago, allowing opponents to convert 44% of the time. This year, 43%. And that number is only that low because the Jets went 0 for 11 in Week 2. You dig into the games against Baltimore and Miami, and the issue becomes crystal clear. The Ravens went 6 of 11 on third downs. The Dolphins? 10 of 15. That's 62%. And the kicker? Most of those were third and longs. That's what stings. It's not just that you're giving up conversions. It's that you're getting teams into tough situations and still can't get off the field. Against Tua, they had him holding the ball. They had decent coverage at times, and still he found space, especially outside the numbers and extended drives. And those things add up. You give up 10 third down conversions in a game, you're asking your defense to be on the field too long. You're begging for fatigue. And against a team with speed like the Saints, that's a dangerous game to play. But here's where it gets interesting. Help is on the way for Buffalo. They're expected to get back key defenders, Ed Oliver, Matt Milano, their first-round pick Maxwell Harrison. Suspended players like Michael Hoy and Larry Ogunjobi are returning. And defensively, there's been a clear shift under Sean McDermott. They're playing more 3 linebacker looks than ever before. They're using more stunts. They're dialing up new pressure packages that we haven't really seen from them in the past. So while the third down numbers aren't pretty, there's an identity forming. The Bills are evolving. And that's what makes this matchup so fascinating. Because on one side, you have a defense that's growing into something new, but still inconsistent. And on the other side, You have a young quarterback in Spencer Rattler who's doing everything he can just to stay upright behind an offensive line that's been, let's be honest, shaky at best, especially on the edges. Kelvin Banks on the left and Talys Fuaga on the right. Both extremely talented, both very raw. The Saints might get Fuaga back this week after he missed the Seattle game. But either way, that's two young tackles going up against experienced, paid, hungry pass rushers in Joey Bosa and Greg Rousseau. That's a matchup that could tilt the game. And that's where Buffalo has to feast. Rousseau just signed a monster extension. Bosa has been lights out through the first 3 games. If they can win those one-on-one matchups off the edge, they can force Rattler into rush throws, or better yet, into negative plays. And if that happens, forget it. This Saints offense hasn't proven that it can climb out of holes yet. They haven't scored an opening drive touchdown all season. They've barely been competitive in the first quarter. If they go down 2 scores early, this could snowball. But if the Saints are going to hang around, it's going to be because of the run game. Alvin Kamara is still hunting for that elusive 1,000-yard season, and this might be one of the better matchups he'll get. The Bills' run defense has been suspect, particularly in their run fits. They've got some young defensive tackles in T.J. Sanders and Deone Walker, and while those guys flash potential, they've also been moved off the ball at times. And the Saints have some big-time maulers on the interior. Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, even Trevor Penning now moving inside to guard. If they can create push early and often, that opens up the playbook for Kellen Moore. The Saints don't want to live in third and long. They want to stay ahead of the chains, stay unpredictable, and keep Buffalo's defense guessing. And the run game is key to that. They're currently one of the worst teams in the league in yards before contact. That has to change if they want any shot in this one. And don't overlook the other side of the run game either, because Buffalo isn't who they used to be. You think Josh Allen, you think downfield shots, big arms, big moments. But under offensive coordinator Joe Brady, this team has quietly become one of the most run-heavy, two-dimensional offenses in the league. Top 5 in run rate. And they're not just pounding the rock for the sake of it. They're doing it with purpose. They run a ton of 12 and 13 personnel, multiple tight ends. And they've got this rookie, Jackson Ha, who might already be one of the best run-blocking tight ends in football. Last year, they were using a backup guard as a jumbo tight end. This year, they don't need to. Ha has completely changed what this offense can be on the ground. Then you add in James Cook, who might be the best pure zone runner in the league right now, and you realize why this rushing attack is so dangerous. Cook is second in success rate on zone runs. His vision, his cutback ability, the way Buffalo's scheme sets up those backside lanes, it's a nightmare to defend. And oh yeah, Josh Allen is still your quarterback, which means every run play is effectively +1. The defense is always a man short, and that's a real test for the Saints' defense. Because yes, the numbers look decent, 3.6 yards per carry allowed, top 10 in the league, but context matters. They've been playing from behind a lot. Opposing offenses haven't needed to lean on the run. That won't be the case this week. Buffalo wants to set the tone physically. They want to keep the Saints' offense on the sideline. And if New Orleans can't match that intensity in the trenches, this game could be over before it ever really starts. But you know what? This is the NFL. Strange things happen all the time. And this is one of those games where the Saints have nothing to lose. That's a dangerous opponent. You have a rookie head coach with something to prove, a young quarterback who's still writing his story, and a team full of hungry players who know this is a measuring stick moment. Don't be surprised if Kellen Moore reaches deep into the bag. Trick plays, special teams, fakes, onside kicks. Nothing is off the table. They're going to try and steal a possession or two. They're going to try and catch Buffalo sleeping. So if you're the Bills, the message is simple. Expect the unexpected. And play your game. You're the deeper roster. You're the team with continuity. You've got the MVP candidate at quarterback. Don't panic. Don't force it. Let the game come to you. Because if the Bills stay composed and take care of business, the scoreboard should take care of itself. One thing that's easy to forget when we talk about matchups like this is just how fragile momentum can be in the NFL. You can have the better roster. You can have the better quarterback. You can even have the home crowd behind you. But if you blink, if you come out flat, make a couple early mistakes, let the other team feel like they belong on the same field, you could suddenly find yourself in a dogfight you never expected. That's exactly what Buffalo has to avoid here. The Saints are walking into this game wounded. They just got embarrassed on national television. They spent all week getting called out by media, by fans, and probably by their own coaching staff. And that's exactly the kind of team you don't want to take lightly. What makes New Orleans dangerous isn't just their desperation. It's their speed. On both sides of the ball, they've got explosive players who can change the game in one play. Offensively, it starts with Chris Olave. And look, we can talk all day about scheme, usage, or how many targets he's getting, but here's the bottom line. There's not a single cornerback on Buffalo's roster who can run with him one-on-one. And if Spencer Rattler has time in the pocket, if the offensive line can hold up for just a beat longer than expected, Olave can turn a simple post route into a 60-yard touchdown in the blink of an eye. And then there's Rashid Shaheed, who might be even more dangerous with the ball in his hands. He's not a volume guy, but he doesn't need to be. He's a game breaker. You let him get loose on a reverse or a quick screen, and he can flip the field instantly. That's why discipline and angles are going to matter so much for Buffalo's defense. They can't overrun plays. They can't get caught with their eyes in the backfield. And more than anything, they can't assume that just because New Orleans hasn't been good at finishing drives that they aren't capable of explosive plays. That's the trap. You think you've got them under control, and then boom, Shaheed breaks a return, or Olave gets behind your safeties, and now it's a game again. That's what Buffalo has to avoid. But let's go even deeper, because the chess match here is fascinating. Sean McDermott knows that his defense has been inconsistent on third downs. He knows they're giving up too many long drives, too many red zone touchdowns. And you can feel that urgency in the way they've started to adapt. The Bills aren't just lining up and doing what they've always done. They're mixing in more stunts up front. They're disguising coverages more often. They're sending pressure from unexpected places. And maybe the most telling shift? They're leaning more into 3 linebacker sets than ever before under McDermott. That's a response to what modern offenses are doing. You want to get bigger bodies on the field without sacrificing athleticism. You want to stop the run without going super light in the box. And with guys like Matt Milano coming back, the Bills can finally get back to doing some of the things that made them dangerous last year. Add in Ed Oliver returning on the interior, and suddenly that defensive line rotation starts looking a lot more formidable. They'll still need to execute, but the personnel is trending in the right direction. Now, on the flip side, New Orleans is trying to find out who they are. You can see in the way Kellen Moore is calling games. There's an identity forming, but it's not there yet. They've got some fun concepts in a run game. They've got a quarterback who gets the ball out fast. Rattler is averaging under 2.5 seconds per throw, one of the fastest releases in the league, but they're not connecting downfield. They're not getting explosive plays. They're not scaring defenses vertically, and that's a problem. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, the Buffalo Bills reportedly pulled off one of the most unexpected acquisitions of the offseason, SHEDEUR Sanders. The whispers began circulating late last night, and by early morning, social media was ablaze with speculation about the potential signing. Sources close to the team insist that the Bills are quietly finalizing a deal that could redefine the league's quarterback landscape. SHEDEUR Sanders, known for his remarkable poise and precision on the field, has been a coveted prospect since his standout performances in college. Analysts have long debated where he would land, with top-tier franchises reportedly circling, but few saw the Bills emerging as the frontrunners in this dramatic saga. The Buffalo faithful, however, are reportedly ecstatic at the prospect of adding such a dynamic talent to a team already brimming with offensive firepower. While no official confirmation has been released, insiders hint that the signing could signal a shift in the Bills' strategy for the coming season. Questions abound. Will Sanders step in immediately as a starter, or will he be groomed behind the season roster? How will this affect Josh Allen's status and the team's offensive dynamics? Speculation is rampant, and the NFL world is abuzz with potential scenarios, trades, and roster shakeups that could stem from this unprecedented move. Beyond the on-field implications, the acquisition of SHEDEUR Sanders is already creating a media frenzy. Endorsement deals, press tours, and social media campaigns are expected to follow, amplifying the spotlight on both Sanders and the Bills organization. Fans in Buffalo are reportedly already planning tailgate parties with banners welcoming their rumored new star, while critics in other markets question the long-term impact of the signing. As the rumor mill churns and official announcements remain pending, one thing is certain: the NFL landscape may never look quite the same again. The Bills' bold maneuver, whether finalized or not, has injected a fresh wave of excitement into the league and left fans across the country anxiously awaiting the next chapter in this unfolding drama. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.